Hey there, welcome to the DFS Build. It is week 12 in NFL. We're going to go over the DFS slate, but first, before we break down picks and what we like when I do a video later this week with Taylor, I'm going to do an early look, just reacting to the salary and early ownership over at rotogrinders.com to give you an idea as to who we should be targeting on this slate, and that'll help shape the slate a little bit. Of course, if I help you at all in this video or any other videos, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and come join us on Discord. That is 100% free. And if you want premium plays for just $5.99 a month, hit up dfsbuild.com to get access to that. All right, let's get over to the screen that I'm actually going to share here, and we're going to look at the projections, and I'm going to pop in right there. There we go. Then we just get a look at all the positions, and lots of guys looking pretty good. Let's go position by position, though, and see who stands out the most. So we get projections, we get ownerships, we get all kind of numbers here at RG. I'm not selling anything at RG. RotoGrinders is just a great platform that I like to use for running lineups and getting projections and looking at ownership and all that fun stuff. All this stuff is subject to change except for the salaries, of course, and the matchups. But let's look at it. At quarterback, up top, we have four guys coming in with a 20-plus point fantasy projection, and they are all about the same price. And then we have a second tier of guys who are about 6K or less, who are just a hair below them. So Drake May, Patrick Mahomes, Lamar Jackson are going to be coming in with considerable ownership and with nobody really, stepping out of the pack there. I mean, come on. Drake May right away looks like the play of the slate. 6'9". Is that even expensive enough for what he's been on the year? I don't know. Last week wasn't great against the Jets. I think Thursday Night Football was a short week. Just wasn't amazing. Still had 280 yards. That was a Travian Henderson game. Same with the week before. Travian Henderson popped off for 2 scores in both those games. But he's still gotten you like 18-plus fantasy points in like 5 of the last 6 games. Like, he's been a machine. And the Bengals are really, really bad defensively. They've given up, I think, 30 – I feel like they've given up 27-plus points in 9 straight games, so it's been bad. That's not going to change all of a sudden. The game is in Cincy. The Bengals obviously kind of pretty much need to win out to have any chance at the playoffs. That's just not going to happen, so who cares? I think you could certainly argue, Travian Henderson here too. I don't know what his price is yet. I haven't really looked. I've been busy with NBA and Thursday Night Football, which you can catch at the end of this video, or just hit up our YouTube channel if it doesn't pop up there for some reason. I try to focus on the slates in installments. That way I'm giving it like 100% focus. But yeah, Drake May looks amazing, man. I mean, like, he's not even 7K. There's 3 other guys in that price range that are going to get some ownership, so he's not going to be the chalk. It's going to be really interesting to see where that ownership ends up trickling. Like, if he's like just 1,000% owned, do we even care? Like, Drake May has like 25 to 30 point fantasy upside here against the Bengals, who are just trash defensively. That said, if like that does happen, like, obviously we'd have leverage opportunity here. Lamar Jackson, 6'7" Lamar against the Jets, and the Ravens have to win. Like, he was god awful last week. Wasn't very good the week before against Minnesota. So this feels like an opportunity for Lamar to smash, actually. Let me actually pull up the numbers here just because I really haven't gotten into the weeds, so to speak, too much. Like, I'll do that before my show with Taylor, which should be maybe today, maybe tomorrow. I like to do these first looks sometimes to just get that initial reaction, because before you really get into it, I feel like once you get into it, and then you have player injuries that kind of impact things, and then like ownership updates, and then you really start changing like what you want to do. And I feel like that's really bad sometimes. Like, it's really bad for NBA in particular. Like in NBA, I felt like I had a really good build. Then the Warriors news came out last night. I was like, oh shoot, I got to play 2 or 3 Warriors now. You don't have to do that. Like, you don't have to follow things just the way, because the slate kind of dictates it. But it does change the way you approach it, for sure. So I just think the early look gets like a fresh perspective, and then you're like, oh, I like these plays. Let's think about that. And then you start getting a little bit too cute and make some adjustments and so on and so forth. Like, okay, last week, great example. I was like, oh, I'm just going to play Jacoby, Michael Wilson, and Trey McBride everywhere. That ended up being a great idea. But there was a lot of thought that went into, oh, well, before like Thursday, Jacoby was not the chalk. It was JJ McCarthy. he was like 20% owned, and Jacoby was like maybe 8. Then it got split where they're both like 12 or 13% owned. And you're like, oh, well, what do I do there? So ultimately, I did end up going Jacoby heavy and fading JJ, but I just did enough elsewhere that it just, it didn't really work out the way I wanted to. Anyways, it changes, obviously, as you go. So I think these first looks are pretty helpful. What was I doing? I was going to look at the matchup for Lamar against the Jets. They haven't been great. I mean, they have not been great against – is that right? They've not gotten a single interception? That can't be right. That's what I'm saying. Anyways, the Jets have given up 18 passing touchdowns. They haven't been amazing against mobile quarterbacks. I don't think they've ran into that many. But yeah, Lamar looks really good as a slate breaker here if the ownership can come down. Mahomes against Colts, I think he's fine. I think I'd rather play the guys who are like more of direct mobile threats. Like Mahomes definitely gets around and gets rushing stats. But he's kind of something's been happening here. Maybe not ideal matchups last 2 weeks. I don't know if the Colts are really the most ideal matchup either, kind of middle of the road at best. But it's in KC. The Chiefs got to win. They're 5-5. So I think they're all good plays. I think I'd favor May for sure. He'd be like, I think he's going to be the chalk, at least up top here. But Lamar, if his ownership dip is going to be interesting. Jalen Hurts, though, right away in terms of ownership, he's very interesting. Has been kind of a butt the last 2 games, 13, 14 fantasy points. Hey, Green Bay's defense showed out in that game 2 weeks ago. Lions in prime time is a similar situation. So he really hasn't been getting it done lately, and now he's got a cakewalk matchup against the Cowboys, who are dead last against fantasy quarterbacks on the year. Giving up 4 rushing touchdowns, over 238 rushing yards. Like, what did he do back in week 1 against them? I think he was like just totally fine. 24 fantasy points. Like, there's nothing to worry about here. I think if this is where the ownership holds in tournaments, the first spend I'm going to look at is Jalen Hurts, actually. See, this is why this is important, folks. Everybody's like, oh, Drake May is facing the Bengals. Well, yeah, that's great. I want that. If I'm playing a lot of lineups, I do want that. But I want Drake May over Patrick Mahomes. And if the ownership tilts and Lamar Jackson's completely overlooked, I do want Lamar Jackson. But as things stand, like this is where the ownership is tilted. Everybody's going to be going to May, Mahomes, and Lamar up top. And if the one guy in the 6'6 to 6'9 range that's getting overlooked is Jalen freaking Hurts, sign me up, man, all day. Big game for Dallas. I think it's in Dallas. Yeah, it's in Dallas. Ooh, late afternoon game. Oh, low-owned Jalen Hurts, late afternoon game. Oh, boy. Yes, give me that. Okay, so if we want to save some money, though, we go down to Jared Goff. I love me some Jared Goff in a revenge setting. Now, this isn't like an actual revenge setting, but this is a bounce back setting, which the Lions have been very good at. 3 times. They've lost 3 games on the year. Well, wait. They lost week 1. Got smoked by my Packers. And then week 2, they put up 52 points against the Bears. So they were mad. Another game they lost, and the next week they beat the Buccaneers 24-9. So they just, they lost another game. Did they lose 4 games? Whatever the case. They had another game where they lost, and the next week they smoked the Commanders, put up 44 points. So whether you want to play their defense or play the Lions, I think one way or another, Detroit is going to be a team we should have interest in. And on top of that, they get the Giants, who are the second worst defense against fantasy quarterbacks. Jordan Love looked pretty damn good against them in the second half, and really at the end of the first half last week. They are equal opportunity sad sacks, so you can play any Lions you want across the board. But Jared Goff saves you $600 to $900 at the quarterback position, and we're going to get quite a ceiling here. 27 fantasy points, that'd be great. 36 fantasy points against the Bears, that'd be great. Obviously, if it's a Jahmyr Gibbs game, we're wasting our time. But Goff looks good. I like that a lot. A lot of what I do ends up being determined by value and ownership. So, like these guys I'm already talking about are pretty expensive. So if I want to go get a ton of wide receivers and running backs, if I want to go get Trey McBride and all that stuff, it's not going to be as easy to get to these guys. It's just they're very interesting if they're not going to be owned. Goff and Hurts right away in terms of ownership are standing out to me. Caleb Williams against the Steelers. I don't really want to mess with that because on one hand, Caleb Williams will just be bad out of nowhere. On the other hand, the Steelers have been kind of good lately. So if either of those things are true, then Caleb Williams feels like a bad play. Like, look at this. The floor games are very floory. I don't like that. 10 fantasy points. 5-7 is not so cheap that I want to mess around with that. The projection is really nice. And on the year, the Steelers have not been like super good against fantasy quarterbacks. They're bottom 10. But they've been better lately. So if they're going to come out here and, they made Flacco look stupid last week. If they're going to come out here and play well, then I think that's something we can avoid, especially if he's going to get a little bit of steam. Jackson Dart, I was blasting our resident Giants fan in Discord, Aaron, sorry. I've come around on Jackson Dart a little bit. And the big reason why is because the ownership. He was saying Jackson Dart was a great play this week. I hadn't really looked that much at the slate. And I was like, if people are going to be in on Jackson Dart, then I'll just be out. Reason being, he's coming off a concussion. His playing style could lead him to another concussion or some other injury. And then he's also facing the Lions I just talked about, who are going to be coming out and very hungry to win. Like Dan Campbell, they put the foot down on the throat, man. So can I see the Giants coming out and putting up some stats against the Lions in a shootout? Yeah, it's possible. But can I see them getting absolutely obliterated and Jackson Dart has the worst game of his career? Yeah, I can. That said, 5-6 for a guy who comes up with an 18-point fantasy projection and is not owned right now, that is interesting for sure. He is cheap. I don't think he's had under 18 fantasy points in any game on the year except for even the one he got hurt against the Bears. He was crushing. So, yeah, I'm sorry. Aaron. I was wrong. But if he gains steam, and he should because he's projecting really well and he's cheap, if he gains steam, then I'm still going to double down on what I was saying before. If it's a chalky Jackson Dart, I'm going to do something else. I'll pivot to Jared Goff for $400 more, or I'll drop down to our boy Jacoby Brissett, who's not even getting that much ownership right now. I guess you can play T-Law at 5-1. You can always do that. I just don't ever like playing T-Law. I just feel like the ceiling is never there. It should be. Big arm, mobile player. He has weapons. He just always gets like 13 fantasy points for no reason. Sam Darnold against the Titans? Absolutely. That's in the bounce back spot. The Titans are what? Kind of just bordering on middle of the pack against quarterbacks, but they've still not done like major damage against quarterbacks. They're not a very tough matchup at all. He's been brutal the last 2 games. Under 10 fantasy points, under 11 in 3 of the last 4. Now the Rams, the Texans, and kind of the Cardinals, not good matchups. Certainly the Rams and Texans are not good matchups. And when he has a good matchup, he has gone apeshit. So I would imagine this is a very good bounce back spot for Darnold. So at 5-4, I would have a lot of interest in Sam Darnold, actually, especially since nobody will want to play him. Jordan Love against the Vikings. I like that the price came down. I like that he finally got going again last week. 17 fantasy points, even though he got his shoulder rocked. But that's a big no for me. Vikings have a good defense. I don't want to do that. Sorry. That's my hometown team, baby. Hope they win, obviously, but I don't think I'm going to hitch my wagon to Jordan Love this week. Jacoby Brissett is $500 cheaper and projects about the same. He's going to be a little bit owned. I would then just keep an eye on the ownership. I forever want to play Jacoby Brissett because he has 5 straight games of over 20 fantasy points. Like, he is shredding. Is Jacoby Brissett like a legit good NFL starting quarterback? Because it damn sure looks like he is. Then he gets the Jaguars, by the way, who are abysmal against fantasy quarterbacks, bottom 5. Now, we did say last week going in that Justin Herbert would look like a smash, but you do got to take into account, and look at the context. And that would be that the Chargers had to go way the hell across the country to play Jacksonville. That's something. And they also still do not have their stud left tackle, Joe Alt. So both of those things actually probably played into them getting their asses kicked. Also, they're coming down from the high of smoking the Steelers. So that might explain the Herbert thing. And now the Jaguars have to do the reverse. They have to come into Arizona, and they're on the road, and they had all that travel. I'm not worried about Jacoby Brissett. And even if you were, he's 5'3". He doesn't cost anything, and his ownership isn't even out of control. Everybody wants to pay for these studs up top, and granted, I just was fawning over them. I like them too. But Jacoby at 5'3" against the Jaguars at home? Fuck yeah, man. Are you kidding? I want that. If he's not going to be owned, I want that. Dak against Philly at 6'4". Hey, GPP for life. I don't know. Daniel Jones at 6'2". He has a ceiling. I mean, Daniel Jones has been good like most of the time. 19-plus fantasy points in all these games. I don't think you can go wrong with Daniel Jones. I think Dak you can go wrong with because the Eagles' defense is playing freaking lights out. Tyler Shuck, which his name does not look like Shuck. Looks like Shao or Show. Really good last week, 18.9 fantasy points against the Panthers. Hey, 4.4K. Falcons are not a good matchup, really. They are, I feel like, maybe middle of the road. Hey, 4.4K, if you want to punt quarterback and load up elsewhere, there are very expensive wide receivers on the slate. I don't hate it. He looked pretty damn good, actually. Kind of looked good the week before in a tough matchup against the Rams. He might be good. Geno against the Browns, nope. Tyrod Taylor against the Ravens, nope. You can fire up the Browns and Ravens, by the way. Mason Rudolph, if he plays against the Bears, not really. Aaron Rodgers, if he plays against the Bears, maybe. Kirk Cousins against the Saints, nope. Cam Ward, never again. We've done that. Hey, he has shown signs of life. Look at this. He is popping off. 12, 13, 14 fantasy points. Maybe he's starting to get there. So maybe we can entertain that, but not really against the Seahawks. I think Seahawks are a defense we should fire up. Shadir Sanders, 4.2, cheapest quarterback on the slate against the Raiders. I don't hate it. I'll see what the Raiders' price is in a second here. Not a second, a couple minutes. Many minutes. Shadir is 4.2, man. If the Raiders have actually been okay defensively lately, but they did just give up a 4-touchdown game to Dak Prescott. Shadir Sanders is not Dak Prescott, but the Raiders did that, and the Raiders are probably dead inside. And Shadir Sanders, it's got to go one way or the other. Shadir Sanders is 4.2. I am willing to pay 4.2 and punt quarterback position and take a shot on Shadir Sanders. And just for like all the Shadir Sanders truthers to come out and say, I told you so. I'll be like, all right, I benefited from that, dude. I don't care. I don't want Shadir to suck. I don't care about him. I'm not here to see Shadir Sanders be bad. Great, be good. Go be good, man. That'd be awesome. He talks a big game. He plays for the Browns. But yeah, 4.2. I'm interested. I'm in. It's probably going to go horribly. I'm probably going to wish I played the Raiders defense everywhere. But yeah, Joe Flacco against the Patriots. I guess they'll have to pass a lot. I think you can always play Joe Flacco, so 5.5 is okay. JJ McCarthy, he did not get there last week, but he does have a nice rushing floor, and my Packers tend to make every opposing quarterback look like a god. So yeah, he's in play at 5K for sure. Definitely. Okay, that does it for quarterback. All right, running back, Bijan Robinson has the best projection on the slate. Right now, is he the chalk too? Oh boy, he is the chalk. Okay. Yeah, against the Saints, what are they looking like? Saints are middle of the pack in terms of what they're giving up to fantasy running backs. I mean, I don't think we need to be worried about that. He looks like a god here. I think he got back on track last week. Yeah, big time, 33 fantasy points. Obviously, this stretch was very disconcerting. Didn't like that. All the Tyler Algier vulturing, disgusting. I hate that shit. But yeah, he looks great. If you want to play into ownership, you can do that. I'm not that excited to do that. But he's a good play. Jahmyr Gibbs, half his owned, $200 cheaper in a smash spot against the Giants, who are third worst against fantasy running backs. Feels like a better play. It just does. You can pair them. They're not even egregiously priced. Like, if these guys actually hit their ceiling and they both get 30 fantasy points, you're going to be happy you paired them. Whoa, Joe! Jonathan Taylor's 10K. Okay. Yeah. That's a lot. But he's worth it. He had 54 fantasy points last game. He had done against the Steelers. He's earned that. 40 the week before. How many games? He's had 6 games of 30-plus fantasy points. So you're paying for his floor and his ceiling. If he's actually going to be 5% owned, I want a lot of Jonathan Taylor. I mean, he's not a cash game play at all. I mean, like, in a very real sense, he is, because he's got such a high floor that, like, it's almost like just go get him, and just who cares about the ownership. But in terms of price, he's not. 10K is insane. But it's not insane for who he's been. He is playing so well that this is an MVP running back season. Like if there ever was going to be one, it's probably going to be this one. That's how well he's playing. He is insane. They're clearly going to try to get him the rushing touchdown and the rushing yardage record too. That's probably going to happen because he gets 18 games. For tourneys, like he's going to project like that well for the price, which is obviously the main cause for pause. But and also the Chiefs, what are they? Top 7 against running backs. Hey, but 5% owned Jonathan Taylor. I'm interested. I wish the price was lower because of the matchup and they're on the road. I can certainly see him getting absolutely stuffed like he did against the Steelers. Like I doubt he actually pays off this price tag, but at 10K, I'm going to have some interest for sure. Genty looks like the value of the slate right away here. 6'3", but it's the Browns, dude. The Browns are the 5th best defense against fantasy running backs. And he was in a smash spot last week against the Cowboys and got 9.4. The main problem with Genty is not Genty or his role. It's his offensive line. And by the way, the Raiders throw like way too much. Way too much. Geno Smith is not that good. Geno Smith should be a game manager. I think Geno Smith is a good real-life quarterback that needs to throw the ball 20 times a game. Just pick your spots, play action. You do not need to have Geno Smith throwing 35 to 40 times a game. Especially in Genty. I love the price. I love the role. Projection looks good. I hate the ownership in this spot. If 25% of the field is going to be playing Genty, I'm out. I'll go do something else. Chase Brown at 6'2" right here immediately looks better. Saquon Barkley, how is he this cheap and this low owned? Dude, we're playing Saquon. This is a Saquon week. The Cowboys are not good against fantasy running backs. They're the 5th worst. I know he hasn't been super reliable, but the Lions and Packers are good against the run. Those were tough defensive battles. I mean, okay. I mean, I'm with you. I know. You're like, dude, look at his game log. Yeah, it's been bad. This is a ceiling game here, though, and we're not paying for it. 7.5 for like a way low-owned Barkley. I love that. Continue like Chase Brown, 6'2". He just gets you 15 to 20 fantasy points every week. The matchup with the Patriots, I feel like it sucks. Let me see. Yeah, it really sucks. So again, same thing as Genty. If everybody's going to be playing Chase Brown and Genty, I'm going to go get Saquon and one of the other studs or maybe even JT, something like that. I think this is a pay-up week at running back. That's what I'm sensing here. Breece Hall against the Ravens. Ravens defense has really turned around. Don't like that. Derrick Henry at 7'6". He's a little bit owned, but not that owned. Oh, man, Derrick Henry, Saquon pairing looks really good right now. The Jets traded Quinnen Williams, and Derrick Henry seems to get like 75-plus yards and a touchdown all the time, no matter what. Let's see how he's been doing. Yeah, he's been fine. 16-plus fantasy points in 4 of his last 5 games. Major role. Lamar's back. That actually helps him, by the way. I think I love Derrick Henry here. Javonte Williams, Eagles are really good defensively right now. Javonte Williams has been a bit of a turd burger more often than not. Nice roll. Good touchdown equity. Nice price. But the matchup is not that good. I mean, the Eagles actually, I stand corrected. Eagles are limiting running backs in terms of yardage a little bit. They're kind of middle of the pack. But still, I think he probably is a little bit more appealing to me than Genty or Chase because their matchups suck. And his is a little bit better, and that game has a nice total. It's in Dallas. I think Javonte is a little sneaky if that ownership sticks. What? Okay, come on, dude. This is insane. Trevin Henderson has already broken out. 31 and 32 fantasy points. His price is still only 6'7". Don't do the 6'7" thing. And he faces the worst defense against fantasy running backs. Okay, we're playing 3% ownership? Dude, we're playing Trevin Henderson this week. Are you kidding? Okay, obviously, this is what I'm talking about. We're getting our feet settled here, and we're finding out who we like, and we're looking at the projections and the matchups and the ownership, and the ownership's going to flip. It's not going to stay here because everybody else is going to do this too. I'm like, oh, I'm definitely playing Trevor Henderson, and he's going to be like 50% owned. But we'll see that updated ownership going into lock, and then we can adjust however we want to. If it stays like this, Travian is the lock of all locks. Even if he goes up, I want Henderson over Genty and Chase and Williams all day. How? Especially if Drake May is going to be owned. This is instant leverage. What are we doing here? This is crazy. Crazy. Travian Henderson looks like an amazing play. DeAndre Swift with ownership against the Steelers? No. He's 5'6". He has a floor. He kind of shares the ball with Kyle Monanga, who is stealing touchdowns from him. No, I'm not doing that. Manuel Wilson, 5'3" against the Vikings. That's a little bit interesting if Josh Jacobs misses. The Vikings have been, pretty good against running backs. A little bit beatable. I think because he's 5'3", I'd be interested. Wish it was cheaper because he's still Emmanuel Wilson, and they could factor in, they could roll Chris Brooks in, they could pass more, they could use Savion Williams a little bit as a runner. They could do jet sweeps with Christian Watson and Matthew Golden. They should get creative, I think price-wise and role-wise, I think Emmanuel Wilson's in play for sure. Don't love that he's going to get steamed up in terms of ownership. We'll see where that lies. Like, again, if people are going to go play DeAndre Swift and Emmanuel Wilson and not play Travian Henderson, we're going to win some money. Quinshon Judkins, 6K against the Raiders. I said this before. The Raiders are very good on a yards per carry basis. Early on in the game against Dallas, they were kind of stifling Javonte Williams. My wife has Javonte Williams in our redraft league or home league, and she only needed like 2 points. She was sweating it because he was not getting it early on. Maybe it was more than 2 points, but it was like, I think at a certain point, she only needed like 1.5, and it took him forever to get there. She was listing off his exact play-by-play. It was like carry for no gain, carry for -1, carry for no gain. On a per-carry basis, Raiders' run defense has been pretty good. The problem is they pass a ton, and then they start losing games, and then based off of volume and just like wearing out the defense, then teams get there. But if they're winning, the Raiders' defense is not one I really want to trifle with that much. So Judkins feels slightly trappy here. Now, if the Browns want to protect Shedeur Sanders, and or he just explodes like Travian Henderson did in a tough matchup against the Buccaneers 2 weeks ago, then he could hit. And 6K for a guy with his talent is a little cheap or really cheap. So I do like him in terms of price, but they're bad. And the matchup is not as good as you think. Aaron Jones against the Packers. The Packers are good overall on the year against the run, but I don't know about you. I've seen them just get chewed up a lot on the ground. So I'm a little bit worried there. That said, Aaron Jones has played well against the Packers. He played well against them last year, and he's going to be up for this game. It's in Green Bay. He's going to be up to show out. And he's gotten it going the last 2 weeks. Not crushing by any means. Last 3 weeks, really. Ever since returning from injury. But not super excited to do that. David Montgomery gets the Giants. Taylor joked, I think, in Discord, said incoming David Montgomery 4-touchdown game. Giants are really bad against the run. If you want to leverage any Jahmyr Gibbs ownership, like what Gibbs was 14% on, maybe more. I think Montgomery's interesting in tournaments. Etienne balled out last week, kind of 15-plus fantasy points, 3 straight games. Against Cardinals, I think he's an okay play at that price. Ken Walker finally erupted again, 20 fantasy points. He has a ceiling. The Titans are bad. I don't hate it. Tournament play. Jalen Warren, too expensive. He's banged up. Don't like it. He was brutal as Mega Chalk last week. He was chalky the week before that. No, that was a showdown slate. I think role-wise and matchup-wise, he's fine. Price-wise, his price spiked to 6.6. It's totally unnecessary. I would not play Jalen Warren. Travian Henderson, baby. Donovan White, there's no Amari DiMercado. So 4.9. Not the worst thing in the world. I feel like the Jaguars are pretty damn good against the run, and the way to beat them is through the air. So not really going to do that. But price-wise, I think it's okay. Not super psyched about anything else I'm seeing here. I guess Michael Carter Jr. 4-4 could be more involved as a receiver, because the Jaguars are probably not going to stop they probably are going to stop the run. So Cardinals will have to throw a bit, and also the Jaguars have given up 44 catches of running backs on the year. I just cheated and looked at that right now, so it's not nothing. I think he can be involved. I think of the two, I think I would lean Michael Carter. He's going to have a role here. The Cardinals are going to have to throw to win or to have success. Not really seeing anybody else that makes any kind of sense. All right, wide receiver. Sun God, the chalk. I buy it. I mean, Giants are really bad at everything. And his prices come down to 8K. Dud last week. But Eagles are good, man. He's going to bounce back in a big way. Big way. That is chalk I do not mind eating at all. I think you can certainly go away from it because there's other good options, but the Giants are bad, and he has a massive role. His price, he's discounted for what he can do, and the Lions decide to rip people to shreds after they lose games. So, sorry, Giants. It's going to be bad. So, he looks amazing. JSN, 9K. Feels like a fade, actually, to me, because there's probably going to be a major blowout, and he's 9K. I think I'd rather invest in running back on this week. We'll see. We'll see what happens. We'll see what I do at quarterback and everything. 9K just feels like a lot right now on the slate, but he's like as reliable as they come. 20+ fantasy points in 6 straight. I think in one game all year under 20 fantasy points. So if you want just straight safety, I mean that's as good as it gets. And the Titans are not great. Bottom 10 against fantasy wide receivers. So maybe I'm just talking myself back into JSN here. It just feels like a lot to pay when you can save 1,000 and get probably a similar or better play in Sun God. Then you have Rashee Rice, who's really good. T. Higgins without Jamar Chase. I mean, Joe Flacco is going to probably target T. Higgins like 20 times. I don't know how we fade T. Higgins. That's tough. Plus, the Patriots are very good against the run, like I said before. 7-1 for T. Higgins in a vacuum feels like I don't want to click that. But 7-1 for T. Higgins without Jamar Chase, probably something we should just do. So he's not really owned enough, most likely. CD against the Eagles. What did he do against them last time? 21? Yeah. He has not been great, though. He's not been, like, really worth paying a ton of money for on a regular basis. No 20-point fantasy point games in the last 3 games. Dropped that touchdown that cost me wins in fantasy football last week. That was brutal. You can play him, but the Eagles defense has been lights out. I'd rather play Rashee. I'd rather drop $800 to get T, or I'd rather go get St. Brown is just a way better play. Now for attorneys, not owned, so there's that. But we've been talking about that with like Jettas for forever, and that just never materializes. Wandale Robinson 5.5. That's a good value. I don't mind it. It's just a cash game play. I think he's okay. I'm not really psyched about it. Stephon Diggs feels a little bit rich, but the Bengals suck. So, I mean, we can certainly do that. He's been pretty good. Not like 6.5 worthy. Maybe last week he was, but other than, like, I don't know. Feels a little bit much. The Patriots really spread it out, too. Plus, if we're playing Travion Henderson and leveraging the May thing, like right now that's what I'm going to do, I don't think that's super necessary. Eagles passing game. You're going to pay for Jalen Hurts, Devontae Smith, 5'6". Where's A.J. Brown? 5'9". I mean, A.J. Brown all day. Are you kidding? You can play both. They both look good. But A.J. Brown is only $300 more, similar projection, and only 5% or 5% less owned. A.J. Brown. How is he not chalky? I mean, I can see why he's not chalky, but how is he not chalky? Justin Jefferson, 7-4 against the Packers. He routinely lights them up. He's been really bad, and I don't really trust him or J.J. McCarthy, but as a Packers fan, I am assuming he's going to have the game of the season for him this week. So take that for what you will. Not owned. I feel like this is the cheapest we've seen him all year. Huge divisional game in Lambeau. He's going to get 30 fantasy points almost guaranteed. Chris Olave feels a little bit expensive. but he crushed last week and crushed a few weeks ago, so I think he's fine. Just 6'4", I'd rather do something else. See, I'm not going to talk about everybody here because this is getting long. Let's talk about who pops out. I think Dobbs at 4.9 is okay. Jameson Williams, I do like if he's not chalky, 12%. I mean, you can definitely bet on 5.7 Jameson Williams not hurting you. I like him when he's like 4.9. Like the matchup is amazing. He is in a groove. Like Dan Cable has gone out of his way to get him the ball lately. But I think it's a Sun God week, and I think I'm just going to bet on that. And if I die, I die. Zay Flowers against the Jets with a Lamar stack or solo at 6.3. I think that's fine. Not very owned, not very expensive. Good spot. Brian Thomas Jr. is dead to me, but if he plays, I think he's forever a good value just because of his ceiling. Christian Watson, if they actually start feeding him, like he looks good. They finally fed him a little bit last week, 20 fantasy points, 2 touchdowns. Not a really good spot, but he remains really cheap, so I do like him a little bit at 4.6. Michael Wilson should be chalk again, just based off of 18 targets. If Jacoby Brissett tells us what he's going to do, we should listen. He's going to target the shit out of Michael Wilson, apparently. So at 4.8, he's not expensive enough, probably. Chalky, but I gotta tell you, at this point, I'm probably just going to play Jacoby and Michael Wilson to start my lineups. Probably what I'm going to do. DK, he's always got that big play upside. I think that's okay at 5.3. Alec Pierce has been pretty good, by the way. He was just a big play threat, but he's turned into like actually just a legit good wide receiver. So 5K flat for him in a game that can be trailing. I don't think that's actually that bad. I think he looks a little bit better than 6-game Michael Pittman because he's just a more explosive player. Trey Tucker, the only real way for success for the Raiders in this matchup is through the air. I thought he'd get going. He was okay against Dallas, 14 fantasy points. I think it's okay based off role. Andre Iochavis, not really that good in real life. I watched the game and he dropped the ball like 3 or 4 times. But he's 4.1. Bengals' path to success is through the air, and there's no Jamar Chase. I think Andre Iochavis is a very good salary saver at 4.1. And right now he's not going over, or he's not going owned. 7%. It's not enough to get me off him at all. If he was like mega chalk, he's not that good of a real life player. So if he was crazy owned, I wouldn't be that interested. But we have a lot to pay up for here, so that's interesting to me. DJ Moore has sucked apparently. Xavier Worthy's always worth a shot in tournaments. 4.7 for Xavier Worthy. He's been brutal, and I definitely prefer Rashee Rice. But eventually, you gotta think Xavier Worthy pops off. Jerry Jeudy, he had that one good game against the Jets. I called that shit though. With Shedeur, you never know. I think if you're going to play Shedeur, you should play Jerry Jeudy or Cedric Tillman, wherever he is on this. I don't even see him. But Jeudy would be the one I would prefer if you can get there. The Jets situation is disgusting. John Mechie III, 13 fantasy points last week, 3.3K. Tyrod Taylor's in there now. They'll probably be throwing the entire game. I suppose based off of that, you could try him or any of the other Jets punts. Feels bad. Greg Dortch, his price come up, 18.6 fantasy points last week. I think I'd rather just play Michael Wilson. Just way more volume coming his way, but 4.3 for him against the Jaguars. I don't hate it. Isaiah Hodgins was really involved last week, 3.3 for him. If that's going to continue, 6 targets, 10 fantasy points, I don't think that's terrible for 3.3. That's pretty cheap for a guy who's going to have a role. Mitchell here, if he's going to be involved, 6 targets last week. If he can get going, man, 3.2K in a game where they will be playing from behind and throwing a lot. I don't think that's that bad. Boy, Matthew Golden's price came all the way down to 3.9. Like, Matthew Golden is not going to be a high-volume guy, maybe ever. But in a game where they probably going to have to throw it to win, I think that's interesting. It's a GPP dart for sure. All right. I don't think anybody else looks like this. Cedric Tillman was down there. Let's forget about him. I'm not going to look at defense. Let's just look at tight end real quick. Holy shit, Trey McBride. Really owned. Amazing projection. Are the Jaguars that bad against tight ends? Yeah, they are, by the way. Second worst. I think I remember that. I just had to check for sure. His price went up $500 compared to last week. Still not expensive enough. You're basically getting Puka for 6'8". This is insane. What are we doing? Lock him in. Eat that chalk. Jacoby, Michael Wilson, Trey feeds families. That's what I want. In tournaments, Brock Bowers, $800 less, a fraction of the ownership, not that far from projection. Browns stop the run. Raiders have to throw to win. They want to throw anyways because they're freaking insane. I think it's a good tournament play. But if I'm going to invest $6K in a tight end right now, it's going to be Trey McBride. Otherwise, we're looking at punts here. I'm not really going to invest $5K in Travis Kelce. 5.5 for Tyler Warren's okay because he's like super reliable. I don't think the matchup is that good though. Yeah, Chiefs are top 10 against tight ends, but he can get there just on volume alone. Mark Andrews, 3.8. If you're going to play Lamar, I think Andrews is definitely in play against the Jets. Theo Johnson forever remains cheap, as he should, I guess. Not really much to like here. Oh, Hunter Henry at 3.9. I mean, that's just a sea of red. But the Bengals are the worst against fantasy tight ends. 12 touchdowns given up. I'm pretty sure that's the most. Yep. So red zone factor, Patriots spread the ball out. Let's go to the open guy. I think Hunter Henry could have himself a day. And, 7% isn't nothing, but at 3.9, number one, don't really care. Number two, all the ownership is going to McBride and, Bowers and all these other guys. So, I think Hunter Henry is a really good turning play here at 3.9. Nobody else really stands out. You can always take a shot on Dallas Goedert, 4.2. Brock Wright, I guess, does stand out just because there's no Sam Laporta. I mean, you're looking at quite a floor here. But he does get to face the Giants, who are kind of bad at everything. Not as bad against tight ends. But if they want to get their tight end involved here, Brock Wright at 3K flat is not the worst thing in the world. And you got all these other same punt guys, Mason Taylor, TJ Hawkinson, all the guys that are priced appropriately because they've been ass. But they're still in play because tight end sucks. I think it's just we pay for Trey. That's the new slogan for week 12. Pay for Trey. And then we just move on, So, I'm going to do this later with Taylor and look at and really give my favorite plays as we walk through. But I feel like this is helpful. It's helping me. This is the first I'm really looking at it. Let's go and check this out. I'm just going to run you through this shit real quick. Okay. So stupid. Jacoby, baby, where are you? Where's Michael Wilson? Give me that. Okay. We'll run even 10 lineups. Whatever. Is that a core? Fuck. I'd get Genty the fuck out of there. I'd get Wandale out of there. Jets defense can die. I would probably right now, I would be looking at Saquon in this second RB slot, and then whatever we do at the other two wide receiver spots, I don't even care. Maybe put Wilson back into wide receiver slot and mess around with flex. Jets defense as a 2K punt, I don't know, against the Ravens, I don't think it's going to work out. But in terms of just giving us money, you could also entertain dropping Jacoby to Shadur and just YOLO, see what happens. Anyways, that's going to do it for me. Hopefully this helps you out. I'm doing it myself and talking to you, and I'm reconfirming my own biases and looking at projections and ownership, and I'm like, oh shit, this is what I want to do now. And I'm not going to be right on every take. And I'm not going to always, not all the picks or whatever I'm going to hand out are going to be winners. But I hope these kind of videos help out as far as adding a little bit of nuance and breaking down the situation and just giving you another perspective. If it does help, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and then you can get more than just me. You can get all the other people in Discord. You can get Taylor, who's awesome at DFS, and get access to all that for free in Discord. And if you do want my core plays for NFL, and NBA, and I do MMA as well, and Taylor's been doing NHL, so we do a lot of different stuff, and it's just $5.99 for everything that we're doing over at dfsbuild.com. So come in and take a look at that. Check out the Thursday Night Football video. It's at the end of this video, and hopefully you can win some cash with that. And we'll do an NBA video later today as well. All right, thanks for watching, and good luck this week.